Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome to Hangin' With. I'm GW Pomichter, and we are hanging at MegaCon 2016 in Orlando, Florida. And right now we are hanging with an educator from Polk County, Florida, and Nicole Jobin. And she's a convention goer this weekend, and also one of a group of teachers who are working to bring comics into the classroom to help teaching literature and reading and in general, just appreciation of the written word through comics and understanding. So let's kind of start at the beginning. And thanks for hanging with us, Nicole. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now let's start at the beginning. How's the convention going?
It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm here with the kids. It's kind of more laid back than it's ever been before. But overall, we're having a good time.
You enjoying it? Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about why you bring comics into the classroom and what your goal is.
Well, being an educator, we spend a lot of time trying to get our kids to read. And in the first years of their life, it's learning to read, and that's fun because there's pictures and it's a calm, it's rewarding, it's something fun. And then as they hit fourth and fifth, and even into middle school, it's more of a reading to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of this information is bombarding them along with something they're not quite perfect at. So they're reading to learn all this other information. So not only is it just grasping a concept of reading and how all the skills and strategies that go along with it, but they also have to get information about a content area, science, social studies, even math.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's not fun anymore because it's not just literature. It's not something that they do on the laps with their parents or in a circle time on carpet. It's something that they really have to gather information to get and to retain and to carry on in whatever they endeavor later on.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, as a reading teacher, it's us working really hard to get the kids to a place that's above basic. So reading levels are kind of like there's below basic, there's basic, and then there's levels above.
Mm-hmm.
And our kids, and most of our adults, are reading, 14% of the population is at a below basic.
Mm-hmm.
29% is at a basic level. This is basically like what they're calling functionally literate. So I can function in day-to-day life, but I really can't read well enough to understand what's on the medicine, like the list that the doctor, the papers that the doctor gives you.
Yeah.
Really to even read a lease. Some to even read the back of a application.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the stipulations, and that's why a lot of people don't read them and get into trouble later on.
Mm-hmm.
In Polk County alone, we have a graduation rate of 68.8% with a dropout rate, and that's a 4-year, like I finish in 4 years.
Yeah.
And then a dropout rate of 4.4, which they're pretty proud of. But we're graduating kids that are basically joining the 32 million functionally literate adults that live in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading something the other day that said music is actually written now at less than a third grade level.
Oh, wow.
So we're going from this word-rich life that we used to live 10 years ago to something that is so drastically, for lack of a better way to say it, dumbed down. And so we have all these kids that don't know how to visualize. We have kids that don't know how to do simple reading things that I think we all took for granted. You know, I mean, we had pictures, but once we moved from pictures to chapter books, we built the pictures inside of us. It played like a movie in our head, and that's what made it enjoyable, and that's what made it fun. And so our kids have somehow missed that step, and so they don't visualize anymore. So they don't see the picture up here. And so that makes all the words even more difficult. Plus our vocabulary it's so much lower. And poverty plays a role in that. I can't say that it doesn't.
Well, obviously there are a lot of factors that play a role. Part of it, I think, always is as our population expands, what we're asking our teachers and our schools to do with an increasing number of students is the same. And in order to do the same, the standard lowers to meet the numbers. But at the same time, if there are ways, as in what you're trying to do, if they're having trouble visualizing concepts and things from words, the comics bring the visualizations with them and sort of encourage that.
So we have to build it up to make them have more.
Mm-hmm.
So the pictures in a comic book, even though the layout is different, the way you read a comic book is different than you'd read a chapter book.
Mm-hmm.
The pictures improve. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. What are you doing?
The pictures improve.
Okay, that's fine. And
fine.
Go. Okay. We're good.
The pictures improve their actual understanding of the concepts that are being taught.
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes the vocabulary real. And that's what we're trying to do by bringing comics into the classroom. We want them to be able to see what's happening. And that helps them build a vocabulary, that helps them understand what's happening in the story, to make it something that then maybe they can transfer to something else as their reading ability grows.
So they build that what we talked about before is that they build that sense of empathy with characters that allows them to take a concept and apply it to an everyday life. Yeah. So you're not going to be Batman, but many of the moral choices and those things will apply to the simple things. And you can do that, but only if you understand the concept.
But also being able to apply it to other literature too as they move up. I mean, Batman is very similar to many other things that we've read about. And I think our kids start seeing that mythology, which my kids in 6th grade love mythology. They love, and the more gory it is, the better. And so they hook on to that like it's a piece of meat and they want to run with it. But then they don't know what to do with anything else.
Well, we talk a lot to our authors about the fact that the human society is a society of storytellers. That's how we pass information on. That's how we share our fears about what's out beyond the firelight. We're storytellers, and the mediums shift and change, but it's that continuation of the story that's so important. And so what about comics in particular draws you to want to use those as a medium to teach?
Because the level is higher. Some of the vocabulary in a lot of the comics is so much more than what they already have. You hear "that's so dumb" from middle schoolers so often, and you want to put in their hands something that's going to make them be a lifelong reader. And I just want them to have choices. Like, we have so much from Marvel and so much from DC that the world is, there's multiple universes they could choose to live in. But there's also the real things that are happening, like everyday comics that affect their age group. And
so many great artists over here at the con. We're at MegaCon 2016, as we said before, and we're seeing so many independent and small press comics that are over there. For those out on the World Wide Web, we've been talking to Nicole Jobin, who's an educator in Polk County, Florida, and she is trying with some other teachers to bring comics into the classroom. We want to put a shout out to all of our comic book small press guys, all of our comic book creators and artists and writers. A big part of putting comics in the classroom is getting comics to put in the classroom, and in age appropriate and abundance. And that's really needed right now. And so if you're out there and you're making comic books and you've done your homework and you know your comic book history, we have a group of teachers that actually want your work in their classroom. Okay, this is from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Now, finally, there's a group of teachers here in Polk County, Florida, and probably all over the United States. So find these folks, and let's get these stories in the hands of these young people. Nicole, thanks for hanging with us. And we're going to about wrap it up real quick. We haven't done this yet today, and we want to. We want to do a real quick shout out to our friends at Something Unique Magazine, Books, Chocolate, and Wine, the Florida Book News, Authors for Authors, and our great friends over at Wordfire Press. These are all people who are sharing our videos all over the World Wide Web to help share these artists, authors, and creators and creative people all over the World Wide Web. And guys, sponsors, partners out there, if you're listening and you can make a few phone calls, we have some teachers here that want to put literature, modern literature, in the hands of our young people and teach them how to be lifelong readers. So spread the word. Remember, log on, tune in, keep coming back, and see who we're hanging with next.